Hello lovelies, how are you all doing? I hope you are well. I am. I'm having a bit of an indoor day today though, because looking out the window, our weather has finally changed. It's now what it should be. It's autumn. It's been weird weather so far, hasn't it? That first week of September and we were 30 plus degrees. But never mind September. So far October has been pretty warm and dry. But like I said, it's changed. It's raining today. I'm having a day catching up with things at home. But that contrast in temperature, I think it's really going to hit us tomorrow. I've actually got a little bit of, it's not a full length one, but I've got a woolly on today. One my sister knitted for me. This is a great one for the autumn because it's only short sleeves, but it's just enough on these days when I think it's partly the damp. It just makes me feel a bit, just need one little extra bit. So, a couple of days ago, 24 degrees. I've been harvesting like mad in the garden, finally doing the lavender harvest, including my lovely friend Gary's, which is about, it's got to be about a 7-metre run of lavender bushes, but they're planted kind of like, so it's not quite 2 rows, but it's almost, if that makes sense. It took hours. I was sweating. I mean, it's crazy. It was as if I was doing it in the middle of July. So 24 degrees a couple of days ago. Tomorrow, I've checked the temperature. It's going to be dry. So back to the garden. There's a big rescue harvest I need to do. 10 degrees. It's like 24 to 10. I've done the translation for my North American friends. So a couple of days ago, 75. Tomorrow, it's going to be 50 in Fahrenheit. Mad. Anyway, yeah, so it's a bit of a chilly, damp day today, so I've got lots of little jobs, sort of admin-y, niggling jobs, and I'm I'm kind of anticipating that some of them are going to make me a bit, I've got to phone companies and say things like, why haven't you done this yet, and what's going on with this, and it's going to be one of those kind of days. So, I've picked some music out to play during the course of today to keep me happy, because the last thing I want to, I know I'm going to get grumpy on a few of these calls, but I don't really want to get grumpy because I don't want to pass that on to whoever's answered the phone to me. None of it's their fault. So I'm going to be playing some music. And yay, what's more appropriate? The Queen of Pop. The Queen of Pop is starting her world tour. When I say the Queen of Pop, I'll show you my selection in a minute. I am, of course, talking about... Oh, sorry, the lights. There we go. Yay! Madge! Madonna is starting her world tour. I think it's today. I think tonight's the first night. In London. Woohoo! Oh, God, I wish I could go. You know, folk often ask about things like entertainment and what you do, because I don't go to the pictures, I don't go to the theatre. I mean, I wouldn't want to go to the theatre anyway. I worked there. I don't want to do it anymore. That whole kind of going out and buying tickets for things, I just don't do it anymore. Partly, obviously, mainly because of cost, but also because... it's this terrible thing to say. I can't be bothered. I can't be bothered getting all dressed up and getting a train into town, and anyway, yeah, can't be bothered. Cost money. However, for the Madonna concert I was thinking, I'd love to go. 4 decades. She's celebrating 4 decades. And I was thinking, God, how old is she then? I mean, she's got to be in her 60s and she's still at it, still reinventing. I love her. I love her to bits. So I pulled out some CDs. Some of you will remember these. These span, I guess this is about 20 years span in here. So there's I think that was the first one, wasn't it? Like a Virgin. Material Girl, Like a Virgin, Into the Groove. Yeah, we know those ones, don't we? And then the next one, True Blue. Do you remember True Blue? True Blue. Anyway, the one I really... Oh, Papa Don't Preach is on here, but the one I always liked was La Isla Bonita. And then getting a bit more modern. I hadn't bought a Madonna CD for years, and then this... I can't remember if I was on tour with a show. I think I was on tour with a show, and our sound engineer, we had a female sound engineer, and she really liked Madonna and Cher. She played too much Cher. But so every night I'd be in my dressing room doing my warm-up, getting my makeup on, what have you. I'd have the tannoy on that links to the stage, and I could hear her doing her sound checks. But part of that, she'd just play music over the system, and she kept playing this album, Ray of Light. And I just loved it, so I had to get it for myself. It's more clubby. The others are, those first two quite poppy, but this gets a bit more clubby. So, of course, Ray of Light. What were the big hits from this? Candy Perfume Girl, Frozen. Oh, it's great. Loved it. Getting even more modern. I haven't listened to this one quite so much. American Life. Yeah. Oh, Die Another Day. That's the Bond movie, isn't it? Not Bond movie. It's that movie, isn't it? Anyway, and I really love this album. Music. But this is the one. Is this? Oh, yeah. So this is the one that's got American Pie on it. Do you remember the controversy at the time? How dare you do American Pie? Because, what's his face? I can't remember his name. Had done it originally, and it was brilliant. How dare you do it? But I really enjoyed that. I think this is one of my favourite of the more modern ones. And this one's got on it the track, What It Feels Like to Be a Girl, or What It Feels Like for a Girl. Brilliant track. But yeah, so I got a bit kind of like, oh, Madge is in town. Shall I go and stalk Madge? But I just think, look, whether you love her or hate her, I think she's like Marmite, isn't she? People love her, people hate her. For me, I just think as a woman, she's been doing it brilliantly, doing it powerfully for all these years. Always, well, I don't know so much recently, but in the past she was doing that thing of just staying one step ahead of sort of fashion culture, reinventing, showing us something new. Oh, I haven't got Vogue in here. Vogue. Greta Garbo gave good face and all that. So yeah, so for my grumpy day, my grumpy phone calls, emails type of day, I'm going to have a bit of Madonna for company, and I'll see how much my knees allow, but I might even get up and have a little boogie, at some point, because it's great, isn't it? Pop some music on and let it just get into you and take you over and just get moving. Love it. Right, so that's by the by. It just happens, for me today is Madonna Day, because it's the start of her world tour. Something like, I mean, it's probably going to go on for the best part of a year, but yeah, 4 decades. I don't know how. Anyway, I did see, what was it on? There was, within the last sort of 2 or 3 years, she was on a show. I don't know if it was like the Royal Variety Show or something, or if it was some awards, glitzy awards thing, like the Oscars or BAFTAs or MTV, something like that, one of those kind of big shows, and she did a set, and it was awful. It was so awful. She was so out of tune, it was shocking. And I did think, you know what, Madge, I think maybe it's time to hang up the microphone. So I do wonder, as we age, our vocal cords lose their strength. And, she was always such a powerful singer. How much power is there still there? I don't know. Certainly in terms of for a big arena type concert. I mean, in a studio making an album, it's a whole different ball game. But yeah, I'll be interested to read the reviews I'll be even more interested to blimmin' go myself. Oh, I wish. Oh, I think I'll talk about that in a minute. So I just wanted to wrap up a couple of little Swanage things. So first of all, do you remember when I was... I've got props. Do you remember when I was at the lifeboat house and I said I'd got a tea towel? I can show you my tea towel. I'm very proud of my RNLI tea towel. Isn't that the best? That's such a nerd's towel, isn't it? I love it. So for those of you outside of the UK who were wondering, so I've got to do this in reverse because I'm doing it through the camera. Here am I in London, and I was, so London, and I was down, right down here on this little tip down here. That's Swanage. And I was saying how I couldn't remember what class of lifeboat, and I said it's a Shannon class, which is it's new for them because it always used to be a Mersey class. This tea towel's out of date now because it's got the old Mersey class on it. So it's got all the different lifeboat stations all around the country, and it's got all the different boats they've got at that boathouse, including the London ones. I'll tell you about the London ones in a minute. But all the lifeboats are named after rivers. So the previous one was Mersey. Now we've got Shannon, there's a Trent, a Severn, Tamar, and the Tyne. So the Shannon is not the biggest of all of them, I should say, but compared with the Mersey, I've got my little bits of information here. Oh, I love it. Am I a nerd or a geek? I've never understood the difference between those two things. But anyway, yeah, the Shannon, it's a little bit longer and a little bit faster, but the main thing is the range. So the range of the Mersey is 140 miles. The range of the Shannon is 250 miles. So that's great. Anyway, I thought, having mentioned it in that video when I was down in Swanage, I have to show you. And it just so happened that when I came back and I did all my laundry, this was in the laundry basket. So it would come out, it's clean, ready to go in the cupboard. And I thought, oh no, I'll show you all. Now, also on the subject of Swanage, I brought myself home a couple of little mementos, little gifts. One was a stick of rock. I've eaten it. Now, I remember talking about sticks of rock before, and friends in North America were saying, oh, is that like taffy? So you're asking me if it's like something that I don't know. So you were asking about something you don't know, comparing it to what you do know. And what I do know, I can't compare it to what you do know because I don't know what you do know. I think the weather's done something to me. So from what I can gather, I've looked up taffy since. It looks like a slightly chewy sort of toffee. And they come in little wrapped sweets. So a stick of rock is not like that. It's literally a long stick, bright pink, white in the middle, and it's rock hard. So if you think of like a lollipop, like a hard lollipop, it's as hard as a lollipop. It's peppermint flavoured. Sometimes you see them in rainbow stripes, but traditionally it's pink. So it's this long, skinny, it's like a long, and you just suck it until it's gone. You can't bite that. Well, you could try and bite a bit off, but it's like biting into a boiled sweet. So I bought myself a stick of rock home, thoroughly enjoyed it. And then I noticed, because this is the other thing a stick of rock must have, they have a little label, and it's a picture label of the bay or the seaside town where you've bought it. So if I was to go to, I don't know, Skegness, it would say Skegness Rock or something, and a little photograph of the beach at Skegness, and you'd take it home and you'd give it to whoever's been minding your cat for the week or your friends at school. It was like you take it home as a present. I've been to Skegness, I've been to Swanage, and the picture was always colour, but a really kind of saturated colour, so the sea would look turquoise. And if there was any, the sand would look yellow, bright yellow. So I finished my stick of rock. Firstly, the little label. So that's what the little labels, and they're sort of just wrapped around the stick of rock. It's black and white. Where's the colour label gone? And then I looked really closely. I don't know how much detail. That ain't Swanage. That's not Swanage. That's a bit naughty, isn't it? I was a bit disappointed. I was like, that's not Swanage. Where's my rock come from? It did say, the other thing about a stick of rock is it has the name of the seaside town written all the way through it. So if you look at it end on, it'll say Swanage Bay, for example. And it's written all the way through. Anyway, So next time I visit Swanage, I'm going to check out the other rock shop and make sure they've got proper Swanage rock. Tusk. And then the other thing I bought myself, so that was like, it was £1, a stick of rock. And then the other thing I bought myself, it's a little bit of a treat. I love my metal signs, my old railway signs in particular. I mean, obviously they're reproduction because the old signs cost a fortune in auctions and stuff. But I bought another little tin railway sign. I like having them in the garden, in the shed, that sort of thing. And I thought, is this kind of wishful thinking for my next home to have a little garden because it's all about fastening the gate? So I thought, have it, and then the garden will come. Great Western Railway notice. What is it? Any person not fastening the gate is liable to a penalty of 40 shillings. A shilling is 5p, isn't it? So that's a big fine. £2 fine for not shutting the gate. So I'm hoping that this is a little kind of token of, yeah, let that new home happen. Yeah, we'll see. Anywho, and there's one more thing I wanted to tell you about Dorset very quickly, but also, is this from Cordelia? Yes, Cordelia sent me a note. But I love the card. Isn't that great? I love the composition of it as well. So I was thinking I'm going to keep this. I don't keep every single card that comes into my life, just, be swamped by paper. But I love this one. So I think I'm going to look in the charity shop and see if I can find a little bit of a frame to pop it into because, well, yeah, gulls. They're cheeky, they're noisy, but I really love them. So one very, very, very last thing relating to Swanage, then we're going to tuck that away for ages. I've got some books to tell you about, one of my girls today to tell you about. But, yeah, I forgot to mention it when I got back to London. And I'm reading a book at the moment which sparked me that's what happened on my way home this time, to sort of share a memory with you. So, when my grandparents were still in the village, we were quite little. I suppose on this particular occasion, because I do remember it, maybe we were sort of about 9 and 12 years old or so, me and my sister. It was a long way to travel in those days. We used to get up silly o'clock in the morning. So where I lived, where I grew up in Lancashire, we'd take a bus all the way into Liverpool to go to Liverpool Lime Street station. Excuse me. I think I'm getting something. I've been a bit like two of the dwarves recently. I'm a bit coughy and a bit sneezy. Anyway, yes, so we go to Liverpool Lime Street station, but the bus to Liverpool, it would take the best part of an hour before we've even got on the train. And then the train comes all the way down. I can still remember so many of the stations. Liverpool, Runcorn, Crewe, Stafford, and then we get into the Midlands, Coventry, Birmingham, Leamington, Spa, and then by Reading it's like, yeah, we're nearly there. Winchester, Southampton, Brockenhurst, Sway, Bournemouth, Parkstone, Poole, Hamworthy. Where am I lost? So it's a long way on the train. We'd get to Bournemouth and have to change trains at Bournemouth to get a local one out to Wareham. Then Grandad would pick us up at Wareham Station in the old VW Beetle. I still love the sound of a Beetle. And then another 8 miles or so down to my grandparents' village. It was an all-day affair. And in terms of getting a direct train, from Liverpool to Bournemouth, there was only one train a day. I think there was it must have only been one train a day, maybe possibly 2 trains, but I mean it took 8-9 hours because it stopped everywhere. Anyway, the point is, one year going home, the end of the long summer holidays, so either right at the end of August or just into September, it was time to go home and, you know, back to school, back to reality, back to all the miserable stuff. I want to stay. We were driving along, we've just left Grandma and Granddad's village. Me and my sis sitting in the back, and my sister, doing her usual travel jinx nonsense, pipes up, "Grandad, have we ever missed the train?" And Grandad said, "No, of course not. You know, we leave enough time. No, of course not." We turn a corner. My Grandad was a really careful driver anyway. You know, some people, they think they know their own country lanes and they bomb down them. No, you know, every corner you turn around, there may be something, someone riding a horse or someone pulling out of their farm with a tractor and a trailer on the back, whatever it is. So my Grandad was always a careful driver. We came around a bend and slowed basically to a halt because a farmer was taking his cow. So it was quite early in the morning, but it must have been just post-milking because the farmer was taking his cows from the milking shed back down the little track along the road to go back over into their pasture, into their field. So there we were stuck behind this herd of cows. Just, you know, that's life down there though, isn't it? It's the cows come first and they are just plodding along nice and slow, not a care in the world. They've been milked. Yeah, we're going to go back out to the field. Plop, 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 plop. That day we missed the train. It's the only time it ever happened. So me and my sister were chuffed. We get an extra day at Grandma and Granddad's. So yeah, we came, Granddad, obviously we tried to make the train. Sorry, excuse me. But yeah, I missed it. Drove back to their house, came through the front door, making lots of noise. Not the front door, the back door. We never used the front door. Grandma was like, What are you doing here? Grandma was coming down the stairs with bundles of bedding because she just stripped all our beds to bring it down to wash everything. And she's like, oh, take it back up and remake the beds. Anyway, so the reason I'm mentioning that is ever since that day with my sister jinxing us, it's like, shh, don't say anything. Literally every time on that section of road, whenever I've been there, even now as an adult, not so much when I'm going down from Wareham to Swanage, but when I'm coming back from Swanage up to Wareham to get the train back to London, in this case, when we go through that little section of road, I always think, I wonder if we're going to get stuck behind some cows today. But no, because I'm never travelling that early. However, this time on the way home, and it actually happened a little bit earlier on the road than that, as we come out of my grandparents' old village, or come through it, the name Langton literally translates as long town. So the whole village is pretty much based on the road, a couple of little side roads. But you come out of their village, we carry on, and then there's a little turning to another village called Acton. It's hardly a village, it's more like a hamlet, a couple of houses. Proceed another mile or so, and there's another little turning to another little village called Worth Matravers. And we just on the bus, this is, past the turning to Acton, and we slowed right down. Now, I wasn't worried at all because there was such a long gap. Do you remember I was at the station? I think it was like a 50-minute wait. There was such a long gap before the train. I wasn't worried. But we slowed right down and I thought, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? My sister's jinxing me today. It was a herd of sheep. So they were being taken from one field and then down the road. They were on the road down into Worth. the reason the traffic had slowed a bit was the last of the sheep were almost onto that side road into Worth, but there were about 5 or 6 cars ahead of us that had obviously been sat there waiting for all the sheep to cross the road for us to proceed. Because I couldn't quite see what's holding us up. I couldn't quite see, but as the bus came by, I looked, I could see in the lane going down to Worth. Ah, that's what it is. About 100 sheep backsides bobbing off into the distance. It was sweet, and it just made me chuckle, because it's like, yeah, I don't think I'll ever go along that stretch of road without thinking of my sister when we were little, piping up, "Have we ever missed the train?" Anyway, yes, so that's that. Right, for a complete change of pace now. And more water. Yeah, a quick moan. Oh my God, this Marks and Spencer's Bra Saga, part 3. So part 1 of the Marks and Spencer's Bra Saga was the day I was buying them. But if you remember when I was talking about that, that was the day when I left my handbag in the changing rooms. Didn't realise till a few minutes later, and suddenly thought, where's my handbag? Oh my goodness, you know, it's got house keys, wallet, it's got everything, it's got my life in it. So that was part 1, but at least I managed to buy the bras. Part 2 was trying to return that bra and getting horrible customer service, really awful. And if you remember, they wouldn't give me a refund. They gave me a gift card. So, a few nights ago, I think, it was a few nights ago, the temperature in the evening had dropped a bit, and I was thinking, ooh, and I thought, do you know what? I want to just get ahead of the game a bit before winter arrives, because I don't know how cold this winter's going to be, if it's going to be as harsh as it was last year. That December last year was so harsh. Put it this way, it was harsh enough to kill my garden. My garden's never been killed over winter before. But anyway, so I thought I'll get ahead of the game, and I'd already decided I was going to use this, I think it was £18, towards some more thermals. And then I thought, actually, I've got the thermals. What I'll get instead is a pair of, I don't know what you call them, like sweatpants, lounge pants, like almost like sort of pyjama bottoms, but thick, sort of like, you know, like sweatshirt material, like your hoodie, like the material my hoodies are made from. You know, I think you know what I mean, don't you? The kind of stuff where if you've come in from the garden, it's been really chilly and you're a bit damp, you whip off your gardening clothes, pop your thermals on, pop those on over the top, having those 2 layers, trap a bit more air, kind of warmer. Or just if I'm at home all day, working from home, if I'm sitting sewing from a machine or whatever it is, because I'm quite still, I found that I needed the thermals and a pair of, let's call them lounge pants, shall we, lounge pants, sweats on over the top of the thermals. And even then I needed a blanket some days. So I thought, brilliant, I'll get a pair of those from M&S, because I've got my 18 quid. They're probably going to be about 18 quid. And even if they're, say, 20 quid, well, you know what, I'll put the 2, brilliant. So I go online, and because I don't particularly want to go back to that shop. I'm traumatised, I can't go on. I just don't particularly want to go to the shop, because it involves time, as in the travel time to go there and back, plus the bus fare and all that kind of stuff. Let me just do it online, for goodness sakes. So looked at a few pairs, found a pair that I thought, I like the look of them. They look really quite thick and snuggly, but not so thick as to be stiff, because you want to be comfy, don't you? Or I do. So fill in all the details, name, address, payment method, gift card. So fill in the gift card, carry on. Do you want, delivery options? I'll take free delivery, thank you. I'm not in a hurry for them, because that's the other thing, isn't it? If you do something in good enough time, quite often you can get free delivery on an item, but it might take 7 days rather than that expedited delivery, which can, you know, you pay £5 to have it the next day. Anyway, I was in no hurry, so I picked free delivery. The sweatpants themselves were £18, so I thought, this is perfect. No post-it, just it's a straight deal. Done. Brilliant. Pay. And it does one of those things, you know, when you get a red box around it, like, and it says something like, this order cannot be processed. Like, why? I don't know what's happened. It took ages to figure out. I scrolled right back to the top of the page and it said, invalid gift card. Invalid gift card. Oh my God. I could have burst. I was just like, oh, for God's sake. I mean, seriously, it's like, I'm not saying life is hard. Life is hard when you live in a war zone. But what I mean is, for something as basic as going to a shop and buying a bra, it should not be this difficult. Just give me a blooming refund and let me go shopping elsewhere. Anyway, so I called the customer services. I was on the phone to customer services for half an hour they were like, no, we've checked, it's valid. So whilst I was on the phone with them, with the other hand, I was redoing the order and I said, it keeps coming up invalid. And then I got passed to someone. Anyway, the long and the short is, this bra has cost me 2 trips to that town, so that's 2 lots of bus fares, that's £6.60. It's cost me time, the hour and a half of going back to try and get the refund. Now, that's another half an hour of my time gone on customer services, so we're up to 2 hours, plus 10, 15 minutes trying to work the internet to do... And it's... Honestly, I'm at that point now of saying it's not worth it for £18. Which is stupid, because of course it is, and there's a principle. But honestly, I just feel like saying, you know what, forget it. I'm going to go shopping elsewhere. I can't be doing. Anyway, that's not the end of it. So with the customer, they said, oh, you know, well, we'll see to this. We'll get back in touch. It's like, fine. And the next day I've had an email, which is what I've got to attend to today. And the email is asking me to, and I don't have a photocopier or a scanner anymore, so I don't know how I'm going to do these bits, but they want a copy of the card, they want the card number, they want my original receipts, they want my refund receipt, even though it wasn't a refund. So I've got to go through all these hoops for them to issue a new gift card. I mean, come on. Look, you know what? Of course, there are far worse things in life. But this is one of those things that just winds me up, because it just shouldn't be so flipping difficult. There should not be so many hoops to jump through. And the way I feel at the moment is, well, I could do all that stuff via email, do more than send all that to them, spend time doing it for them to say, oh yeah, sorry, no, that was a valid card, but you needed to use it within 24 hours. So, you know, it's your tough. But yeah, I'm pretty much done with M&S now. Forget them. I'll give it one last go with this email this afternoon at some point. Now, on to something that's really beautiful, but it's quite sensitive. I don't want to upset anyone. It's to do with, it's to do with babies who don't make it. This isn't miserable, but anyway, if you're someone in that group, maybe go la 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 for a few minutes. I'm going to hold a book up. We're going to talk about a couple of books in a minute. So you can go la la la, turn the sound off or whatever, and then when you see me holding up a book, turn the sound back on. So I want to share this with you because I think it's so beautiful. The lovely Lorraine, hi Lorraine, bless her, she sent to me a little parcel full of all sorts of bits of some old haberdashery bits, ribbons, cotton reels, a couple of bits of fabric from some from her and some from a friend, also having a clear out. And it just seems so perfect, so thank you. Lovely bits and pieces which I'm going to be using and incorporating in things that I do in future for my shop, but they're probably things which will happen once I've moved. There's so many projects which are now labelled once I've moved. Can't wait now to move because I just want to get on with things. Anyway, and it's sort of pertinent to this subject of moving house, excuse me. And it's not just about decluttering, but it's about really thinking about everything that we own. I think it comes up particularly when we move because we think, do I really want to take... Firstly, you might be downsizing, so you really can't take everything with you. And you know, ultimately when we pop our clogs, we're not taking any of it with us, are we? We're leaving it all behind for some poor soul to deal with. But yeah, I think we tend to think about this more when we're moving. Of, you know, do I really want to move all this stuff? Do I want this all arriving in my new home and I've got to unpack it and find homes for everything? So it makes sense that we have a bit of a declutter, a bit of a sort out, a bit of a clear out. But also it is that thing, you know, I've talked about in the past about the Swedish death cleaning of just always asking not always, but from time to time asking ourselves, you know, when I'm gone, who's going to want all this? Who's going to have to deal with it? Maybe some of it is something that I can deal with whilst I'm alive and happy and well. Maybe I can just start getting rid of things now, giving things to family members or selling stuff and putting a little bit more in my cash pot for retirement or for care when I'm really, really old. So yeah, it's a subject that's probably going to be revisited in the coming months as I get ready to move. I don't have clutter. I'm not a clutter person. I can't stand clutter. I can't stand busy homes. Just doesn't. Now, some people would say this is clutter and this is busy. Books ain't clutter. These two shelves, anyway, this is all for my shop. The rest of it, there's a lot of stuff there that I do intend to sell. But again, that's something I've always envisaged for my retirement. So once I'm retired, which by the way is still more than a decade away, I know people keep seeming to think I'm retired. I'm not. But yeah, it's a slow process selling books. And it's one I'm kind of looking forward to and I want to take my time with it. And yeah, it's something for me to look forward to. But other than books, the only other thing really that I have anything much of is fabrics and my haberdashery bits, but they're all earmarked, they're all for work, that's my work. So yeah, I don't have clutter, but I can revisit some little areas like paperwork, because there's some expiry with paperwork. You know, we maybe keep our bills for 1 year. Other paperwork, if you're self-employed, you keep your accounts for 6 years. I'll check that. Don't take my word for it. I think it's 6 years. But yeah, things like the paperwork I can revisit because there might be some which now it's a bit old. I can now, shred it, get rid of it. But anyway, so back to Lorraine, and I think there are some things which are really, really hard to get rid of, aren't they? Because there's so much sentiment attached to a piece, an occasion, you know, it's a big deal, what have you. Wedding dresses. So, this is so beautiful. Now, some people, look, with a wedding dress, there's all sorts you can do with a wedding dress other than having it in a box, stuffed in a box under your bed. You might want to keep your wedding dress to pass it down to your daughter. You know, but fashions change, don't they? And sizes and shapes change. You might want to, you know, quite soon after your own wedding, donate it to a shop that does, you know, like a charity shop, or specifically a charity that helps with wedding dresses for folk who really don't have anything, don't have any money. That's all lovely. Some people will use their wedding dress. I think this was the old tradition of the wedding dress then gets cut up to make the christening gown for the first baby. That's a lovely idea too. If you're sitting on a wedding dress and you I hope you're not sitting watching my video in your wedding dress, Miss Havisham. Do any of you ever, actually, let me ask you, do any of you ever put your wedding dress back on if you've had it for decades? When no one's looking, little secret evening, glass of rosé, put your wedding dress on, have a little dance in it. Anyway, so if any of you are, you've got your wedding dress, you don't know what to do with it, there are so many things you can do which will do so much for someone else, like the charities that take them for, young lasses who've got not a sou to pay for their own wedding dress. But this is also a lovely idea. There's an organisation, and this is why I'm saying this is sensitive. So this is the really sensitive bit if anyone wants to go la la la. It's an organisation called Dresses for Angels, and it's for they use old wedding dresses, gifted wedding dresses, they cut them down and make them into really beautiful little gowns to dress babies who are stillborn, so that they can be dressed in a beautiful gown for photographs. I just think it's a really beautiful idea, a really, really, really beautiful idea. And some people may not know that photos are taken, or that's I think more and more hospitals now, and I think everybody's sensitive to it now. Certainly hospitals where I've worked when I was doing my training, if sometimes a baby would die within a couple of hours of birth, couple of days, but there's very much a process involving the parents of washing the baby, dressing the baby, holding the baby, having some photos, get some photos done, handprints, little footprints. So I didn't mean to make myself upset, but I think it's a really beautiful idea for anyone who thinks, what's my wedding dress doing under the bed? It's not doing anyone any good. Have a little look online for this organisation called Dresses for Angels. I think it's just such a beautiful idea. Anyway, let's get happy. I'm going to wave a book for those who've been la la la. Maybe we should have I've never been married. I've been proposed to on a number of occasions. I've even accepted on a number of occasions, and then lastminute.com, no, screech, the brakes on. I realised just in time, this is a mistake, I'm not doing it. But there's that great episode, isn't there, of there's an episode of Friends where I don't know where they get the dresses from, whether it's they've hired them or whether it's their mum's dress or whatever, but all the women, Rachel, Monica and Phoebe, they're all dressing up in the wedding dresses and just being silly. And then of course the boys walk in and freak out. It's like, oh God, is this what girls think about all the time? They just want to get married. Great. It hit the mark perfectly. But no, not all girls are obsessed with getting married. Oh, I'm just looking at the clock and I've been yakking for ages. So I think we'll do the books in, I say we've been yakking for ages. I think you've been yakking, Vivi. It's all you. We'll leave, I need to put my teeth back in. We'll leave the books for another video. Actually, by the time I come to make it, there's probably going to be a third one to join with them. Actually, no, let's talk about one of them very quickly. No, we'll do it, sorry. I'll do it separately. But yeah, that's the lovely thing about this change of season now. We're going into book reading season again, as in it's dark by 6 o'clock. I'm not out in the garden. What am I going to do? Obviously, there are jobs I can do in the evening, but by about 10 o'clock now, I'm snuggling up with books again. And this year, for the first time ever, I've kept a list of everything I've read. And I partly wanted to do it just just out of interest for myself, but also because you know, when you're gifted a book or a friend lends you a book and pass it back, I just wanted to remember who had given me the book or loaned me the book, or if it's one I'd bought for myself, or was it for Christmas from my sister, that sort of thing. And because I just finished another book, I was writing it in there, and it's quite stark actually when I look back at December, January and February. I think my average was 10 books a month. I think January was actually 12. So it's about 10 books a month. And then we get to July, one book. And it was a really slim book. It was that lovely, where is it? It was that lovely Salt on My Skin. That was Sarah, wasn't it? There's something like that. Yeah, Sarah. I mean, teeny tiny, a whole month. So yeah, it's, oh my goodness, that's a stretch. So look, wonky go. Yeah, looking at my little log of books for the year, it's really obvious when it's winter and I'm not in the garden so much and it's dark and it's cold and then, you know, we get into sort of May, June, July, August, September, forget it, there's far too much to do. But yeah, back on the reading horse, as it were. I'm really, really enjoying it. Oh, I'm on a corker at the moment. Right. So let's stop teasing you about books. We'll do that next time. I should be in the garden next time. I'd hoped to be there today, but the weather is inclement. Is there anything no, do you know what? That'll do for today. There's always so many things I want to talk to you about. Because I'm enthusiastic for life. Shut up, Vivi, and go. Right, okay. Who said shut up? I'm going. I'll see you again soon. Yes, probably in the garden. If not in the garden, if it's another rainy day, we'll talk about a couple of books, because I think, yeah, you'll be interested in one of them in particular. Whatever we get up to, I think there's going to be this might be some cooking soon as well. Yes, a couple of new recipes to try. Whatever. I will see you all again before too long. That's the main thing. Can't wait. All right, lovelies, but until then, please look after yourselves. Stay well. Enjoy starting to get back into that kind of cosy stuff, whether it's reading or doing your evening knitting or crafts, whatever it is. Yeah, enjoy it. Let's start prepping to get cosy and hunker down. All right, lovelies, for now though, cheerio.